Hi cats and kittens, this is Lex and I am your crochet fiberist. Happy New Year! I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful week. As you can see, my week was a little busy, which is why I didn't get a chance to see you guys. But I am back and I'm ready to talk, and we've got a ton of stuff going on. So I suggest you get ready to fiber. Okay, let us go back to the very beginning, because that is the place we ought to start. We've got the regular scheduled segments. If you watch to the end, no. If you're watching on Sunday evening, you will notice that our Rediscovered Stitches class is not there yet. I created the video and it got eaten. I'm working to get a better recording equipment. I record everything on my computer, as you can kind of see, and while it's served me well, there are some issues right now, and I might have to make a different selection. My husband keeps telling me to use my iPad, but I hear the editing capability is not as good. It's not as robust. And while I don't really edit a whole lot, I can imagine that there is going to be a time when I need to edit, and then I won't be able to, and then I'll feel weird putting out my episode. So, still working on it, I promise. But I just want to say hi to the lurkers, hi to my subscribers. I think I stopped looking, not because I am not thrilled by every new subscriber who shows up, but because I get oddly disheartened when people unsubscribe, and I need to learn how to stop taking that so seriously, because I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this for fellow fiberists, whether they become subscribers or not. This is a reflection of my love this is like my love letter to crocheters and other fiberists. That's what this is. So I need to quit treating it as something else. That being said, you can find me on Ravelry as Lexicom. We have a group, the Crochet Fiberists. The S is in parens. And you can also find me at Instagram as Lexicom with a 3 instead of an E. So I'm totally elite. So on that happy note, let us get into the episode. We've got news, we've got stuff I'm working on, kitting it out, and some Unhooked, which until a couple days ago, I did not have anything to show you guys, and then certain things just flew off my hooks, and I couldn't be more happy. I couldn't be happier. Sorry. Wow. And so we've got that. We've got Wearable Art, Spinmeister, and we will see what else happens when we get to the end of the episode. So let's start with some news. I don't know if you're the sort who does fiber meetings or big fiber experiences, but Stitches West happens at I think the last Thursday of the month, I believe. I will check on that. It's either the 3rd or the 4th Thursday of the month. And it goes from Thursday to Sunday, and that's kind of a big deal. The reason I'm telling you this is that you guys should, if you're in my neck of the woods or planning on going to Stitches West, I would definitely start working on your projects. I've got a project I'm trying to get done by Stitches, and I don't know if I'll talk about it this week, but it'll definitely be on my list to talk about next week. So I think we should have a virtual fashion show, as it were, where we show off the projects we made specifically for a yarn gathering or something like that. That intrigues me. So that's something you might want to know. Let's see. I want to begin the new year with what I would call another chapter in my fiber journey. And I think what I'm going to do, and I'm telling you this now, so probably the end of the month, I'm still sorting some things out. I want to create like friendship cuffs, and I will show you what they look like. I'm still working on them. And the idea will be the participant will do the requisite number of chains to go around their arm and do their first 5 rows. And then they will pass it on to another participant who will add 5 more rows of whatever pattern that strikes their fancy. And they'll make notes, and they'd attach that, and then you'd send it to somebody else. And then they do that. And then at the end, it gets sent back to you. And you can just kind of see the stories that kind of pop up, the fibers people choose, the colors people choose, and how they feel about these fibers and these yarns and these stitches, and how you can incorporate them into your own fiber life. So that's something I want to do this year. Like I said, I will probably not have that to show you this week. It might be next week or the week following. We'll see. Okay, just stay tuned. Okay. So I think that's everything. So we can get into Unhooked. And I'm going to dig a little because these things should be in here. They are. So last episode, I think I mentioned 25,000 Tuques. I really should have went back and figured out the pronunciation, but hats that are going to be donated to Syrian refugees who are coming into Canada in the very, very cold months. So I love the idea, so I started working on one, and I kind of couldn't keep moving with it. I just kind of got bored. So the first 6 rows, I was very, very bored. And then I did something a little bit different. And the next thing I knew, I had a hat finished. And then I decided to do it. So here is that first hat. I'm calling it Bienvenue Marhaba. Welcome. It's a very simple hat. It's Tunisian in the round. And yes, it fits a standard size head. It fits my head currently as a beanie because my hair is all frizzy and wild and exotic. But I think with people with straight hair, it should be fine. So as you can see, there is a sideways cable and braid going on. It is actually really quite cool. So this hat is made out of Blue Moon Fiber Arts Wubu, which is a merino bamboo blend, and it took about 150 yards. So it was a really easy project. I used Tunisian weave stitch, which is something I've talked to you guys before. I believe I discussed it a little bit on episode, for Pete's sake, it might have been episode 2A or 1A. But I will revisit the idea of Tunisian weave stitch in a rediscovered stitches class. But anyway, it was Tunisian in the round as well, and there were just so many elements of this that I really, really liked. The yarn was perfect for the pattern because you can see the stitches a lot better. This particular Tunisian weave stitch is what I'm calling a twisted weave stitch. Where you grab instead of going through one way, you're going through the other way. And it created this very, very light, airy fabric, but it still has a lot of, it's really, really interesting. So that's what it looks like on the inside. If you know anything about Tunisian, you know the inside doesn't, while the outside kind of mimics the look of knitting, the inside does not look anything like that. And I think it gives an extra bit of warmth that'll be useful for the folks who are coming to Canada. So this is hat number 1. Hat number 2, I I don't know how I feel about this hat. I like it. I like it a lot, and I still need to weave in ends. So here's the second hat. This yarn is Tenzing, which is a Tunisian, sorry, it is not a Tunisian. It is a yak merino blend. Actually, it's a merino yak blend. 85% merino, 15% yak. And and this is another Bienvenue. It's the same pattern. I did a few things differently. The stitch that I used to create the edging is a little bit different. I actually don't remember what I did, so I'm going to have to go back through my notes and take a look. Actually, never mind. I just remembered. It's a really, really simple stitch, and because this yarn it seems like it has infinitely more plies than this yarn, but it's a thinner yarn. I cast on 80 stitches and worked up. The thing that separates this pattern from this pattern is I did not do as many rows when I did not do as many straight rows after the cable panel. And I know this looks kind of yikes, but it still needs to be washed and blocked. It'll be fine. So what was I saying? Wow. So what happened here is that I worked the cable panel, which is side to side. And then I picked up my stitches, and I decreased on this row. In this one, I did not. I worked 4 more rows and then started my decreases. So this is more of a beanie, but this too fits my head. It's stretchy. It's remarkably stretchy. And for people who don't believe that Tunisian can be stretchy, cats and kittens, this is stretchy, and it fits beautifully, and it fits as a beanie, and it'll keep your ears warm, and it's super, super soft. I'm really excited about this one. I'm thinking, I have some goals for 25,000 Tuques, but I'll get to that later. But for now, I'm really, really happy I got these 2 done. I want to get a couple more done before I take them down to pearlescence, but I wanted to show you guys because I'm really, really thrilled with how they turned out. So that is Unhooked. And shall we go to our next segment? Our next segment, which is Kitting It Out, where I talk about what I'm currently working on. And I'm grabbing my first project now. I was out and about a little bit today, and so I was working on this a smidge. So give me a second so I can show you this without all my stitches, without my stitch on my hook. Here we go. This is what I'm calling my woolly weight cardigan. Woolly weight herringbone cardigan. So this morning I separated for sleeves. And I'm starting the body. Now, it's finally starting to look like something, so I'm really, really happy. I really, really love this stitch. I talked about it, I think 2 weeks ago, and I just think it's a really, really clever stitch. It does take a while, though. It kind of reminds me how slow just working single crochets can be. But it's so stretchy that I'm really, really excited about how this is going to wear in the future. The yarn is called Prairie, and it is a 50-50 bison merino blend. And this yummy, I don't like how it's reading on my camera. It's a lot darker blue, and I've got 4 skeins of this, so it's about 800 yards. And when I get to the edging, I will be doing I will probably be showing how I do the edging on my Rediscovered Stitches class. We discuss wedge stitches because that's how I'm going to finish this piece. I'm really excited. I'm guessing I have maybe 2-3 more weeks on this. After I finished the second Bienvenue hat, I went right back to this project, and it's definitely one of those things you work 5 rows and then you take a break. Not because the stitch isn't really, really cool. I'm just not, it's really monotonous, and it takes a little bit longer than your half double crochet or even your single crochet because of the little machinations you have to go through. So it's in my Zelda hat or Zelda bag by the fantastic RK's mom. So there's that. Alrighty, let's see. Anything else? Told you I had more than one thing, but this might be the only other thing. First, look at this groovy bag. Isn't this cute? This is an Erin Lane bag. Erin Lane, as of yesterday when I was looking, is having a 30% off sale on her website, which is erinlanebags.com, I believe. And she does these she has like this bag of the month club or something. Wow, that's not an or something. That's actually what it is. It's like a year-long bag club, which is really cool. She teams up with people who have, yeah, by the way, here it is. I checked. There's a 30% off store-wide sale at the moment. Wow, that's really weird. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, I did not know that. Did you see how the picture in my video changed? I did not know that me putting up my iPad would affect it so much. You learn something new every day. Sorry. Anyway, Erin Lane Bags is having a 30% off sale, and at the end of the year, I caught a glimpse of this and decided to get her to buy some of her bags. And she has this bag bundle where you can buy 4 bags for like $80, which is really, really good. So I picked up this one. I loved it because it had the awesome superhero women, Batgirl, Wonder Woman, and Supergirl, which is awesome. I'm a huge, huge DC fan, but I can wait, these are all DC characters, so I didn't have to worry about it. So I was very excited, and I'm a huge, huge Bat family fan, and I really, really love Wonder Woman. So this is awesome. And I've got this material in 4 bags. And as we move through the year, you'll probably see the rest of them because they're really, really excellent, and I already have them stuffed with yarn. So this particular project, please tell me I have it. Oh, I do. How many of you like Craftsy? I love Craftsy. One of the things I'm not always super keen on is the fact that Craftsy has a lot of interesting classes. They don't always have a lot of variety when it comes to crochet classes, in my opinion. Now, for other people, it might be perfect, and I try to buy as many of them as I can that I find useful, but I haven't found a whole lot that I enjoyed. That's not true. Although all the crochet classes that I've purchased on Craftsy, I've enjoyed. I just want more of them, okay? So what I often do is buy knit classes and break out my knitting needles wherever I find them, and work through whatever thing they're doing and then try to translate it into Tunisian or regular crochet. So one of the classes I purchased in the last 2 weeks is a class called, I think it was called Shetland Shawl or something like that. It is taught by Gundrun Johnston. Please forgive me if I misspelled or mispronounced her name, but I think that's her name. And she makes these beautiful Shetland shawls, and they're very practical, and she kind of bridges that gap of traditional and really modern aesthete. So she does really interesting things with the yarns from Shetland and the cultural Tunisian, the cultural knitting life that came from the Shetlands. And one of the things she does are these beautiful hap shawls. I learned that I cannot insert a picture here, but I will put a link to the class in the show notes so you can take a look. And one of the things she does are these beautiful, beautiful shawls. And while I think I need a break from like nigh unto lace weight shawls, I do not mind getting out a hook and start working on a fingering version. So this is the beginning of my half-hap shawl. This is Tunisian, and this is the Tunisian weave simple stitch. I think it looks really pretty. When I first did, I've ripped this out 3 or 4 times because one of the things I learned very quickly is the way you increase in knitting and the way I need to increase in Tunisian are 2 different things. So I need to increase by 2 stitches on either side for Tunisian. The secret sauce for the knitting version is a little bit different, but this gives me the length and the aesthetic that I need for the shawl. So here's where I am. I think I'm about halfway through the triangle. The yarn I'm using is Dream in Color Jilly, and this, isn't it pretty? I don't like how the color is showing up here though. It's like a base of light blue and like dark blue streaks all the way through it, which I really, really dig. And this is definitely not a Shetland look, but it's definitely a look that will go well in my wardrobe. And so this is Jilly with Cashmere, Dream in Color, it's a singles 70-20-10 merino cashmere nylon, and this is actually the Dream in Color club yarn for January. So it's 400 yards, I believe. It's beautiful. It kind of feels like and works essentially like Madeline Tosh Merino Light, which is really cool. So here's what the triangle is going to be made out of, and I haven't picked all the colors, but one of the colors I know for the, there's an old Shawl pattern, which is Feather and Fan. I'm going to do a, what are they called? Sorry, a wave stitch. I think they're called waves. Waves? I think that's what they're called. Anyway, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that particular pattern in this. I'll have to look and see if there is a crochet equivalent to the Feather and Fan stitch. I think there is. I need to keep an eye out. But anyway, what I'm going to be using as one of the colors I'm going to be putting on this shawl is this yarn. This is Tundra. I don't think it's from Pagewood Farm. Gosh, I don't really like how it's showing. Sorry. I guess you can't really see what that looks like. But this is Pagewood Farm Tundra. I don't know if they're still selling this, but I found a place that sells it, so I picked it up. It is a 70-30 silk camel blend, and it's 165 yards. So I think one of them will do very nicely. So this and maybe a lighter color, and then alternate with those 2. And I will not be doing the attached on edging at the very end because I think I've had my fill for a little bit after that other shawl I finished. So, and this is all sitting in my two fur bag. You can see there's a little divider in this bag, and you can put yarn, one set of yarn here, or even one whole project on this side and one whole project there, which I think is utterly brilliant. So that's what I'm doing with this. So those are the 2 really, really big projects I'm working on right now. Everything else is kind of, I don't want to say on hiatus, but I'm definitely moving that to the back burner while I focus on this. So I'll have a shawl and a sweater done by probably the end of the month, I think. let me check one thing to make sure I discussed everything. All right, give me a sec. Okay, so as far as that's concerned, those are the only two projects I'm really working on. So let's move forward to the bucket list project. And the bucket list project begins with a story. When I first started learning how to when I first picked up my hook and started working on crochet, I didn't learn by reading a book or anything. I had a really nice lady who barely spoke English, and we kind of figured out how to do crochet, and I kind of figured out how to do a Tunisian crochet. And then eventually I picked up a book and learned regular crochet. And then I always crocheted in and out of things, but I never really went whole hog until I don't want to call it the revitalization, but the fiber boom that happened, I think either in the late 90s or the early aughts, where everybody was treating knitting in particular, and also crochet, even though that was more on the fringes, with so much respect, and it was starting to be seen as an actual, fashionable thing to do. And at that point, I decided to do sweaters, and my very first sweater was made out of jade sapphire cashmere that I bought from Little Knits, and you could buy like this giant skein of it for like $100. That was like 800 yards, and it was like amazing. And I remember I saved for weeks to be able to do that. And I made this sweater, and I wore it one day, and somebody was like, oh, that's so nice. That must be crochet. And I remember my face falling more than anything else. Prior to that, I'd been happy and thrilled. But I felt a little ashamed because it felt like crochet. My attempts at creating a crochet sweater had not created a really great product. So fast forward, it's been maybe 10 years since that day, and I find that I can make sweaters. I've shown you some of the sweaters I've made, and I really like them, but I kind of find myself wondering why I miss certain things. I've been really good at buying books on sweaters and reading about them. Here's what I'm not always good at: taking that stuff and actually sitting down and doing the hard work to get the sweater I want. So, my bucket list project for this week, and probably for the next 2 months, is going to be what I'm calling the Crochet a Sweater Cowl, which is really, join me and let's put pen to paper. Let's do a really honest assessment of our bodies. Let's do some thinking about how we're going to create a beautiful sweater. And I think the first thing you learn for really beautiful sweaters is following a pattern. And that is not something I do a whole lot. I don't have a problem following patterns. I always kind of feel like I don't want to make anybody else's patterns. I want to kind of explore, because that's how I create. That's what crochet is to me. It's an exploration, self-exploration. But I decided that because I really wanted to make a really nice template of a sweater, that I'm going to do something I haven't done in a very long time. And that is to follow a pattern. Now, did I bring the yarn? Here's the yarn I'm going to be using. This beautiful little dumpling of yarn is Swan Island Eco Wash Sport. It's about 180 yards. The colorway is Mallard. I chose Swan Island because it's an American yarn, and one of my goals this year is to work with have half of the yarn that I bring into my house be American made. The thing is, I like a lot of exotic fiber, so I'm pretty sure the other half is going to be very much an international affair. But for now, this is definitely on the side of angels for my goal. So there is an eco wash process that is apparently less chemically dangerous to the environment, using natural enzymes and the like. And of course, I don't know if you know this, but Swan Island uses natural dyes for everything. So this is a really, really good option for me. I've got 5 or 6 skeins of it. I might need to go back and pick up another skein just in case. And that'll bring me under 1,200, which should be more than enough for a sweater. That has not always been an issue, but that's always been something I think about in the back of my head. I don't seem to buy enough. And then I have to cut corners, and then things don't turn out perfectly. So that's the first thing I'm going to be doing. The second thing I'm going to be doing, and I won't do this on the podcast so it's not awkward for the rest of you, is to get some really, really good measurements made. Rather than finding a girlfriend, because a lot of my friends are all over the place, I think I will recruit my old man, my husband, and we'll go through that process. And I'll talk about that a little bit next week as we work through our sweaters. And then I'll start swatching. What I really want this section to be for the next 2 months is all the things you need to do for sweaters. Particularly if you're using fiber you're not super confident in, you've not worked with before, and you're working with a pattern you've not worked with before. The pattern I'm using, let me grab it, is something I saw when I was looking through Ravelry yesterday. I saw this and I was like, I must have this. I absolutely must. I have to have this. This doesn't happen to me very often. I like a lot of the projects that are on Ravelry. I like most of the projects that are on Ravelry, but I normally don't just stop and say, I have to have this. But I saw this and I said to myself, because actually that is what I call myself. I said, I have to have this. So this, is my favorite, my favorite crochet pattern, and it is using a particular stitch that I'm falling in love with, and I'm going to make a couple of changes, but I will talk to you guys about that as we move through the process. If you're interested, the sweater was designed about a year ago, and it's $7, and it's actually really interesting. I've read through the pattern. I found it really interesting. Next week, I think we'll talk about other patterns if you're interested in joining me on this cowl. I will also put a note in the show notes so we can discuss, which patterns we're going to use to create our template sweater, because this is going to be like, looking at this sweater is going to kind of set our idea and our decision making for the rest of our fiber lives, I think, when we think of sweaters. So a well-fitted, a well-designed, a beautiful sweater, a beautiful crochet sweater that has everybody saying, that's amazing. That is my goal. So, wow, said a lot. Let's move on to wearable art. It's not cold, but it's kind of been cold. It's kind of been rainy and icky. So here are the things I've been wearing in no particular order. My Barely cowl. I love this thing so much. I think I told you guys I gave my other one, my super purpley one, to my mother for Christmas, and she loves it. But this is the one made out of Rowan Fine Art Erin. It's beautiful. I love it. It goes with all of my sweaters and all of my coats, so it's pretty great. So I was wearing that. Geometry Subverted. Love this piece. It's so squishy, and it's so light and airy. So I really, really love this piece. And of course, it's been really hard for me to let this go. Like, I get up in the morning, like the night before, I pick out all of my clothing for the week. And every morning when I put on my new set of clothes, I'm looking longingly at this to see if it fits with what I'm wearing. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but here's Andromeda, and I love this thing so much. I kind of want to put it back on. And finally, what I'm working on, and the final thing I've been wearing are my Beal hats. You've seen them. They're all different cabled hats, and they're pretty fantastic. Give me a second. So that's everything I've been wearing this week. I anticipate, one last thing. Did I bring them with me? Did I leave them in my bag? Oh, I did. And my hand warmers that are my Trinity Stitch hand warmers, which are absolutely necessary in this weather because it's cold. It's California cold, so it's like 50, which to most people is obscene, but to me it's super, super cold. All right, so after Wearable Art, we move into Spinmeister. Two awesome things happened. First, this represents the last of the 14 ounces that I have spun for my hand spun sweater. I have 2 more bags of this fiber, and once I apply this stuff up, I will determine whether I need to be working on some more of this yarn. I think I might do another 6 ounces just to make sure I have enough, but we'll see. I'm very, very excited. Of course, this was on Pennyworth, which is my electric wheel, and it is so, so warm and so, so soft. Alrighty, so there's that, and remember when I told you guys that I was going to buy a woolly winder? Check it out, boys and girls. I got my woolly winder. It is beautiful. It works wonderfully. Oh man, I knew that was going to happen. I just didn't want it to happen yet. Ugh. Anyway, I'm sure you've seen them. The whole idea is as the crank turns. Okay, let me get that out because it could cause problems. Down. Sorry. So as the crank turns, this moves forward and backward in an even rate, which allows your yarn to wind. Sorry, let's see if it works this way. You can see it moving, and it allows you to wind on your yarn on an even rate, which is pretty awesome. Here is the first, did I bring that with me? I don't remember. Yes, here is the first bit of yarn that I spun with the woolly winder. This is a bat I picked up, I think it's called Neptune, and it's a bat I picked up from Pearlescence Yarns. There you go. And I noticed that this was distinctly more even. The yarn itself was distinctly more even than when I didn't use a woolly winder. And even though this was a bat with a bunch of different fibers, for the most part, it's a really, really even spin. So I'm really excited about this. I am not having the same luck with this, with the cashmere that I purchased from Pearlescence as I did with this. So I might schedule a private lessons with the ladies at Pearlescence and try to figure out what my problem is. I think it might be a fiber prep issue, but I'm not entirely certain. So yeah, really, really excited. There was a lot of spinning this week. Wow. Let's see. Let me check the notes because I do not want to not tell you everything that I wanted to tell you. Let's see. Let's talk about fiber eagles this year. I think this is going to be a new segment. The bucket list project is going to be a working through a sweater, but the goal section is really going to be, you know, what kind of things do I want to add to my crochet life? What kind of projects do I want for the coming year to wear? So far, this is what I've decided on. I have 4 sweaters I want to get done. I have 4 shawls I want to get done. 4 pairs of socks, 4 hats for myself, and 4 hats for 25,000 talks. And sorry, 12 hats for 25,000 talks. That essentially works out to a hat a month. Though these hats take maybe 5 or 6 hours a piece. So I'm not going to swear to it. I'm not going to kick myself if I don't get it done. But I kind of want to have a hat on the hooks at all times. One for talk, or at least for 25,000 talks. And then a couple of projects for myself. I think that will make my life a lot happier, and giving a little bit back is always a good thing. The other thing I want to do, I do want to do that, give a little more and step up on that. And the one way I want to do that this year is to take the plunge and do some Mother Bear work. My friend Gemma is always talking about Mother Bear, and if you want to hear a heartfelt sell on the Mother Bear project, I suggest you listen to her talk about it. She's very passionate, and these bears go to children who are suffering in poverty and going through very extreme medical crisis in Africa. And I think it's Africa at the moment. And there is a kind woman who is just going out there and handing out bears. There are no strings attached to these bears. It is just a "we love you" kind of sentiment. And I think I'm going to do some bears this year because I think that's really important. And I think the other thing I want to do is some Halos for Hope. For obvious reasons. Preemie children. I don't have children at the moment, but I can imagine what it's like to be a mother and a father, a parent, dealing with that kind of situation. My husband was a preemie, and yeah, in solidarity and in love, and making fiber craft about other people and not just about self-consumption is something I think 2016 will be focused on, and hopefully that moving forward. So on that note, I think I've talked to you long enough. I promise we will get back to rediscovered stitches. I just need to get my life set up, and by life I mean my computer fixed, so I can so my episodes come out correctly. But I will keep you guys updated. Please join the group. We are the Crochet Fiberists, and at the end of the episode notes, I try to throw out a question for folks to ponder or answer. I've been seeing some people respond, "Hi, Mindy, you rock." There was a lady, Rosewin, I believe. Hi. There was another young lady, Tasha Crochet. Yes, I think that was who it was. And hi to you too. Oh my gosh. I love the fibering community, whether it's Ravelry at large, the people I'm friends with through the LYS, or through a lot of different twists and turns in my life who also love to fiber. And then definitely in our little group. I just want to say thank you for joining me on the fiber journey, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.